Hello guys, and today I'll be taking a look at my general service respirator Mark V, and interestingly, what's the main focus of this video is the kit and the complete kit of the respirator itself. Now, just a quick history about the Mark V. Essentially, it was produced and developed around 1938-39 in an effort to sort of replace the Mark IV, which is very similar in the overall design. There is some major differences. One of them is that obviously you can see here the Mark V is obviously completely rubber face piece. The face piece itself is also different shape, very slightly. I'll go over that in a minute. Mark IV that predates this had the rubber face piece. Early Mark IVs had a red rubber, dark rubber face piece and went to a black, but they all had a stockinette cover on the Mark IVs. To save costs and other reasons, one of them is also it's a lot easier to decontaminate rubber than stockinette, and also save costs and so forth. They decided to go with the new face piece, which is all rubber. One of the major differences, other than like I said, the construction and the appearance of the face piece, is the side it had a blanking port for a microphone. And on a Mark IV, it's hard to, I haven't got my Mark IV here, but on the Mark IV, near the lenses, you'll see on the Mark IV like a dip that follows the contours of the two lenses. The Mark V, it's a straight brow across to help reinforce the face piece as well. The exhale assembly, voice emitter, more exhale assembly really, changed as well slightly. They changed the rubber valve inside, and like I said, the earlier Mark IVs had a flat designed exhale valve cover. Now, with the hoses, there was many different types of hoses that was issued to both, and essentially, issued and used with the Mark IV and Vs. Essentially, early, like I said, even predating the Mark IV, but the Mark IV in particular, obviously, mostly had the stockinette covered hose. They then went to when they introduced the Mark V, they then started to produce the hoses in black rubber. Now, as you can see here, this one obviously was issued with the stockinette. That was purely for convenience of spare parts and materials. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, essentially. Still work the same. And you can sometimes see Mark IVs with the black style hose. Now, this is a standard length hose issued to mostly troops and pretty much essentially any personnel. They did produce a longer version. I'm not sure the exact measurements, I apologize, but essentially it's at least 3 or 4 times the length. And it was designed so I believe the Navy and anti-air gunner crews could wear the mask and have the haversack on their side or back, because it should be the mask is obviously worn with the haversack on the chest because of the length of the filter and hose. But again, that was more again special troops and so forth. But essentially that's the mask, and the filter I'll go over in a sec. The overall kit, as you can see here, is really the main focus of the video today. But we'll start with the haversack. So the haversack you see here is the Mark V haversack. Similar to the Mark VI, the rear of the haversack, this is I guess I would personally say this is the front, but this is the side of the haversack that faces the wearer once it's worn. It should really be the other way around, but it doesn't matter. I'll turn it around in a minute. Essentially what differs from this and later haversacks we'll go over shortly is the way they were built, the compartments, the way they were secured to the body's wearer around the front, and again the strap itself changed and the way it was worn changed slightly. This is just a booklet. Now this, I will say that this isn't technically part of the kit, so to speak. This is more just additional. I just threw it in there because it goes over some interesting things about the mask and gas, obviously training and so forth. I just left it in just because I'll look at that in more depth in a separate video. But I just thought I'd just show you that very quickly. But we'll start on the left. So here we got some cotton waste. I think it's 4 ounces, if I remember correctly. Apologise, I'll put corrections in the description, by the way. Anyway, the cotton waste, I think you'd have 4 ounces of cotton waste material. This is just, it is cotton waste, it's white because it's a modern version. And wartime would see different cotton waste and threads with different colours, so that's why the wartime originals are usually with different coloured materials. This is the, and this mask is early, this is an early war configuration. It's set up with the number 2 anti-gas ointment tin with anti-gas tubes essentially. So as you can see here, you can see that's in frame. Yeah, this was issued June 1940. Yeah, and in this you have some lead tubes, anti-gas ointments, and essentially what you do is you would squeeze the tube onto the skin. You would use the cotton waste to essentially, you would just essentially dab it off, so to speak, and that's essentially why you have the cotton waste, is to help dab off the gas droplets or liquid on your body. I'll go over to the brass studs in a minute. Here we've got the anti-gas eye shields. These are Mark II. I'll just show you the box. So the box themselves, very, very minor changes from the Mark II 3s. Mark 1, 2s and 3s, sorry. Pardon me. It just has some basic instructions about how to wear it, when to wear it. Again, these are mainly designed to be worn if there's a threat and the potential threat of airborne gas, so from aircraft spraying onto troops and so forth. So essentially, I'll just put this to the side. Essentially, the eye shields, anti-gas eye shields, look like this. So I'm just trying to, there we go. So yeah, as you can see, they look like this, and nothing too special. You famously see the famous Erwin Rommel, Desert Fox. Obviously, he famously had he had a pair of these on his cap, visor cap, and a few other, even Allied, like you see Montgomery wearing them as well in the desert. But essentially, they were usually used by troops more for like just protection, even against dust, like I said, in the desert campaign during the Second World War. But these are, and they are, like I said, designed to be used against gas, and they just come in this basic thin brown envelope cover. Nothing much else to say. Again, more you see more of pictures that have been being used again is either dust goggles or in training. Just before I get, I'll just show you this actually quickly. This is the anti-dimming outfit. This is a Mark V. Sorry, there we go. As you can see, hopefully it'll focus. So this is dated 1940. As you can see there, it's kind of hard to see. There you go. And in one end, I think it's this end, yeah, you'd have like a red material. Yeah, it's liquefied, but essentially it should be a bit thicker, but it's obviously just liquefied and melted slightly. In this end you have the cloth, and essentially you would put a very small amount onto the cloth of the lenses of the mask. You use the provided cloth to essentially wipe away all the excess and leave a very thin layer. It's an early form of, again, anti-dimming. You see these being used with this is the Mark V. They produced, I think, Mark 4, 5, 6 and 7, the latest version of this. I don't have one to hand, but it's essentially the same. It's in a slightly darker green colour, but the contents are pretty much the same as they were when these were first issued. You do also see the other former tin. I think it's the number 3 tin, which is like a little circular tin. But these are dated from around 38, 39. I've seen the early stages of these Mark V's, but they go on a loop, and I'll show you how this all fits in the Haversack in a minute. So I'll just put that to the side. And here, lastly, as you can see here, we've got the anti-gas brassards. So a bit of cotton waste. These are two. This should be issued 2. How it works is you open them up and they go over your arm. So they go over your arm and attached through the epaulette via this loop to hold them up. And essentially what this is it's a special type of coating on this material, which would detect gas if present. It would droplets would land on this and it would change to a colour, which the troops would then be alert that there was gas present. You see these famously worn during Operation Dynamo, I believe, which is where the British soldiers evacuated from Dunkirk. There's a few troops, early war again, obviously early war Dunkirk, pictures of troops wearing these, either one or two on both shoulders. So again, you'd issue two. You also see the Americans during D-Day. They had a very similar version, works exactly the same way, worn during D-Day by the Americans and even by the British in some photos. That is overall essentially the kit. I know it's slightly gone off. I've put it to the left, but you can see that is essentially all the kit. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just quickly go over it again. Remove this so you can see it a bit better. So of course here we've got the cotton waste, 4 ounces I think, or 5. Anti-gas ointment number 2 in its tin. The anti-dimming outfit, again the booklet isn't technically part of the kit, but I wanted to show you it. Anti-gas brassards, the gas brassards and the anti-gas eye shields, and obviously mask and filter in the bag. Now I'm just going to move all this to the side, easier. Now the Haversack, hopefully this all will be in frame, it should be. Yeah, sorry, by the way, apologies, the tripod is being a bit of a pain today and it's slightly too short for what I'm trying to do, but it works. So essentially the Haversack, as you see here, this is Mark 5 or 6. Sorry, Mark 6, my apologies. See that it's dated 41. The mask is, I believe, dated 41, 42. And like I said, this is the side of the mask that would face you. So when you wear it, this would be against your chest. This is the back of the Haversack. Now this is where it's an interesting Haversack, because as you can see, unlike the later Mark 6 and 7 Haversacks, it has 2 divided pockets, which is, I'm going to show you what goes where. But essentially you'd have, this pocket is where your anti-gas eye shields would go, and in this pocket you'd have at the bottom some extra cotton waste, anti-gas ointment, tin, additional cotton waste. This side, and then on the side, and I'll get to this, I'll show you now actually, but the interesting with these Haversacks, they have a unique strap. So you have 3 points, essentially loops. Now as you can see, this is again completely different and unique to the Mark 5 and 6 carriers. So the loop would pass through in this material here. It would pass through around the back, and it would go through this loop back down here through this small loop and tie off to this D-ring on the side, and that would be just a way of securing the mask, the Haversack, to the body. Now this would change because it was seen as a reductant and slightly old, some not obsolete, but it was not efficient enough. So they would later change these in the Mark 6 and 7 systems of having a round grommet on the sides, and they were designed so that in emergency all you do is you tie it around and obviously wrap it around the grommet, and it was designed so you could rip it off in an emergency if you had to get the kit off for whatever reason. But that's obviously only on later Haversacks. Now looking inside, I'll just quickly go over the features again. Here just got the spare string, just left it in the side. In the bottom left where the mask goes, you should see a loop. Hopefully this is going to be really hard to show you guys, so apologies, but in the bottom you can just see it, this loop here. Yeah, it's going to be really hard. Essentially in this loop at the bottom, yeah, you see that loop there, that is where the anti-dimming goes, just down there. And this is also the compartment for the mask. On the right, this is just where the filter would go. It's just nothing in there. The 2 obviously eyelets for water drainage and air, obviously, so the air can go through the filter. On the front, there's a large compartment for the brassards or other things. So what I'll do is I'll pack the kit now, and I'll show you how essentially you've packed the mask. So starting off, I'm going to do the hardest because it's kind of awkward, the anti-dimming outfit. So that again goes in that loop down here. It's really awkward, the angle that I'm trying to do this, so please, bear with me. Essentially it goes in this loop. Okay, hopefully you can just about see that in there. Just about. And then what we'll do is, then we will put the mask in last. We will put the gas facades in actually. Now, it's not really, I've seen a few ways of doing this. You can fold these. These are often fold. This is a reproduction set, I should mention. These are reproductions, but they're good reproductions. And essentially I fold these because it's a lot easier to put them in that way. You just put them in the front like so. Sorry. Okay, so that's them fold again. I've just folded these up, but essentially that's the first side. Either side, I believe you can put the booklet, but again, that's not part of the kit as such, the booklet. But anyway, so that's the main in terms of the kit, other than the mask. We'll get to that in a second. So on the back, this side you have the anti-gas eye shields. So just put that back here first, and then I'll put it in. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. So just put it back in its little envelope. So, and these all come in this, like I said, they all just slot into this sleeve. Now, interestingly, they never had a little top that they're designed so you can quickly access them. So essentially, again, these would fit on the left side, like such. Yep, you can hopefully, yeah, should just about see that. Just visible the lips, you can easily remove them. And then anti-gas ointment will go on the right side. There's some cotton waste at the bottom, and then the additional on top, because you obviously want to wipe it off first. So that's how these front two pockets would sit. So you do the buttons up, and then lastly, just going to put the mask in Haversack. So please bear with me, it's going to be a bit of a pain. So as you see, obviously the hose on this is a bit damaged. I'm going to hopefully replace that soon. I have a replacement hose now. So yeah, it's easy if I do it like this. Just trying to filter in. Should all be just about in frame. Yep, so as you can see, yeah. And then the mask itself, the harness folded inside of the mask, like such. You simply hold it. Like so. And that is essentially the way in which the haversack is to be worn. Just going to button it up. Leave that one's a bit tight. And you see at the back they'll be buttoned up as well. But hopefully this is somewhat useful for anyone wondering how you essentially put the contents into the haversack, and I've just shown you how to do it. So hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully you've learned something, and again, this is a good reference for anyone who's collecting or reenacting if they want to know what piece of kit goes where. Now you know. I will say that obviously when the British introduced a light anti-gas respirator, the entire mask in Haversack completely changed. The compartment, obviously the gas ointments would change, obviously to later number 6 tins and stuff. Obviously they go in different compartments. I'll do a video in the future about how you would store the kit for it correctly. But that's essentially it for this video. If you'd enjoyed, I'd appreciate if you liked and commented. Any corrections I'll mention in the comments below. Hopefully this was enjoyable, and cheers for watching.